Welcome back to Pen and Reel Comics. I'm Uncle Joel, and today we're going to be talking about Dark Knight's Death Metal, Legends of the Dark Knights. Now this is an anthology issue that's designed to supplement the main Dark Knight's Death Metal series. It's 6 different stories that are designed to explore the backgrounds of the different Batmen and just flesh out the death metal world as it is. Now I'm not going to avoid spoilers here because, frankly, most of this isn't really worth spoiling. So the first story in the anthology is The Darkest Night, and this focuses on the Batman who laughs after he gets the powers of Dr. Manhattan, as seen in issue 2 of the main series. The entire story here takes place pretty much right after his brain is implanted in the Dr. Manhattan Bruce Wayne, and we see his immediate thought process and how he transitioned from the Batman who laughs to The Darkest Night. And I think the purpose here is to kind of flesh it out a bit more, but really I feel like this is very unnecessary. I don't feel like you really gain any better understanding of the character through this story, and I feel like what was provided in the Dark Knight's Death Metal main series was sufficient. And even the art is kind of lacking. Normally I really like Tony Daniel's work, but I feel like his art here isn't very good, save for a couple of interesting images that are just well designed. So really, this first story could easily be passed over. And the second story, I would say, is the highlight of the book. And this story covers the Robin King. Now there was a build-up of the Robin King in issue 2 of Death Metal, and so there was some curiosity of who this character was and what he would become. Now personally, I was hoping this is going to be one of the Robins from the Batman Who Laughs world, and maybe a young Dick Grayson that was twisted by the Batman Who Laughs. Unfortunately, it follows the trend of all of the other Batmen in that it's just a twisted form on Bruce Wayne. Now, what they did with him, I feel like there wasn't a lot of depth here. They pretty much just made a psychotic Bruce Wayne from the get-go. The big reveal is that when they were caught in the alley by Joe Chill, young Bruce whipped out a knife and slit the throat of Joe Chill. And then he took Joe Chill's guns and shot his parents. Now, I don't really care too much for that origin. I feel like there could have been a lot more nuance in it. I would even be okay with a young Bruce Wayne killing his parents if it was done with a bit more nuance. At least the way that it was presented here in this anthology, it's a very short story, and so they can't really get into too much depth with it. And so, as it is, it's pretty much just Bruce has been crazy from the get-go. He kills people, kills his parents, and winds up killing Alfred and killing Commissioner Gordon, and he basically becomes this nightmare Robin that the Batman Who Laughs takes under his wing. And so that's what's really disappointing for me here, is the highlight story of the book is just okay. From there, we move to B-Rex, a 2-page story focused on the Batman T-Rex. And, well, I mean, how much can you do in 2 pages? It's not bad, it's just nothing special. It's basically just Batman as a T-Rex rampaging through Arkham Asylum, eating and killing everyone. And it doesn't even feel like Batman, it's just T-Rex rampaging through Arkham. And then from there, we move on to Castle Bat. Now this story I feel like had quite a bit of potential, and I actually could have liked it quite a bit if it was focused on a different character. So the story explores a Damien Wayne Batman in a Gotham that has gone to hell. Yes, Gotham's always been bad, but this Gotham is just a nightmare in comparison. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Barbara Gordon, all of them have died. And Damien is rapidly losing the fight. So Damien approaches an elderly Bruce Wayne and confesses that he has failed as Batman. And then Bruce tells Damien about this ancient ritual that requires a sacrifice. And then he winds up stabbing Damien to use Damien for this ritual sacrifice. And it becomes this black magic ritual. And if this was the origin for the wizard Batman that was seen in Dark Knight's Death Metal issues 1 and 2, then I actually would have appreciated that and I would have really liked that Batman. Unfortunately, they went a completely different route that I feel makes the comic just absurd. And this plays into the absurdity of the Dark Knight's Death Metal event that I'm really not enjoying. And that is that this Bruce says that he has to sacrifice the thing that he loves the most, and then reveals that it wasn't Damien, it is Gotham itself. And so this ritual winds up destroying Gotham, and Bruce descends down into some ephemeral pit, and out of the ashes of Gotham rises this giant black bat castle called Castle Bat. And basically Bruce Wayne becomes this castle. So as the origin for this wizard Batman who sacrifices his son in order to obtain great magical power, I would have really appreciated. But as a sacrifice to become this Gotham City Bat Castle, it's ridiculous, and it really doesn't work for me. And then story number 5 is Batmo Beast, which focuses in on one of the most ridiculous aspects of this story that I really don't appreciate, and that is Bruce Wayne's mind in a monster truck. It's just stupid to me. I feel like they were going for over the top, but this entire series feels like Jumping the Shark, the comic. And then the final story, written by Garth Ennis, I feel like is the only other story that I kind of appreciate. And this story follows the pattern set by some of these other ones of Batman's mind implanted into a T-Rex and Batman's mind implanted into a monster truck. And then this one is Batman's mind implanted into a baby. And honestly, this 2-page story feels like a parody to me of the entire death metal event. Okay, what if Batman's mind was put into all of these different things? And this is just kind of mocking that. And so even though it's a short 2-page story and I didn't really find myself laughing at it, it amused me enough in that it was parodying the rest of the event. And that's all of the stories. None of them really thrilled me. None of them really excited me. There was nothing in this that I really appreciated. There were 2 of the 6 stories were okay. And that only amounts to a small handful of pages, and really not worth the cover price. When this is eventually a part of a collection, it might be worth reading, but personally I would say, as a standalone issue, it's really not worth buying. There's pretty much nothing redeeming here. Most of it I dislike, and there's only a couple of things that are just passable. It's really unfortunate how this event is shaping up. Now, there are future books that have me really interested, such as the Trinity Crisis and the series that's focused on the Flashes, but at this point I would say, barring that, there's really not that much that's holding my interest going forward. If it weren't for those, I might even give up on the event at this point. But I'm going to stick it out a little bit longer before I throw in the towel. Just know that with how things have been thus far, it would not surprise me if I don't finish this series. But if you've read this book, let me know down in the comments what you thought. How are you liking death metal thus far? Is there anything that could redeem this event for you? Or maybe you're appreciating the absurdity. Leave a comment and let me know. I'm really curious to hear what you think. Be sure to hit like. Make sure you subscribe if you want to follow my journey through the Dark Knight's death metal. And I'll be sure to give you my honest thoughts to let you know if this book is worth picking up and if it's something that you would be interested in. I will be back for Dark Knight's Death Metal issue 3. And until then, this is Uncle Joel saying, stay tangible.